Hello, this is Hannah with Hannah Crafted Gifts, and I just have a quick live tonight to share with you a few simple alternative projects using March 2024's Memorable Meadows paper pumpkin kit. That was a little bit of a tongue twister, so I had to take it slow. Okay, so first of all, the very first cards I made with this kit, I actually already gave away. So if you check out my blog, there are a couple photos there. Unfortunately, I forgot to take pictures of them closed as well as open. And you'll see what I mean when I show you this fold. But when I saw this month's kit, and here's a picture of the instructions for this kit, I loved the style so much that it did actually make it hard to make alternatives. So usually the more I like a kit, the harder it is. The more a kit is not my style and therefore not particularly to my liking, I think the more inspired I am by the challenge of creating something that I do like, that is my style out of it. And so anyway, this month's kit was too me for me to really think of much to do with. I just really wanted to show off these beautiful card bases, which coordinate with the Meandering Meadows Designer Series paper. You can see a sheet of that here. That was an online exclusive product that came out a while back, still available. You'll see some of the adhesive backed dragonflies and birds in one of my alternatives that I already gave away. So again, check out my blog for the picture. But I went through the DSP in that pack and I found a few things that just like so closely matched. I mean, that is basically the inside of the envelopes of this kit, this particular sheet. See how well that matches? I mean, it all coordinates, but there were a couple sheets in particular. This was so totally one of the card bases to me. Let me see if I still have that card base to show you. I think I do. If I can pull it out here without making too much of a mess. So like that just looks like a zoomed in version of that to me. And then this one, which I think looks so much like the other card base, or one of the other card bases, because there were three. So again, like a zoomed in version of that, right? So anyway, so there's more I could do with the coordinating sweep, more you could do with the coordinating sweep, but my alternatives, aside from that one that did pull in a couple of the birds embellishments, are just using kit product. So let me share them with you. Basically, I wanted to do kind of a display card, because again, it's all about this card base to me, and really show that off. And so I created, I'm not sure the name of the fold. I'm going to call it a U fold. Someone at my paper pumpkin party last night, my good friend Lisa, said maybe it could be called like a hat fold. I don't know. But I'll show you first of all this one here with the trees. So here's the card closed. And then when you open it up, it just shows that great front to back card base and is a great display. You do still have space on the back to write your message. I was writing my message just along kind of the spine here, but you could certainly spread it out over the entire back if you had a lot that you wanted to share. This card base was actually the last one I did because it was the hardest one to line up. So I felt like there was some forgiveness here with the path and the wildflowers, but up here, it really did not line up. You had, let me see if I can kind of peel this back so you can see, you had like trees on this side that ended into the sky, and then you had the tree on this side, of course, that ended into sky. So that's why I have strategic placement here of my label piece. And you can see some of those embellishments from the kit all throughout, even like on the inside here. And so that was the last version I created. I have one other stepped up version of that I'll show you at the end. The second version I had created after doing the one with this card base. This is the first one I did because it lines up the best, I found. Because it's kind of a similar scene all the way across, but those are the two I gave away. So again, check the blog for photos. I think that's the third and last time I'll say that, but the second version I did was with the Field of Daisies, and this is the card base that is much wider. It actually was a side fold card base. You can see the original fold there. But I created the same U, so you have the same, display to see that whole meadow. And again, for this one, I was a little worried about the lining up, but it actually comes pretty close. This one flower here doesn't perfectly line up, but you can see that's why I've put my wood embellishment there just to kind of cover that. But even if you didn't have that, it's close enough actually. And again, I have hopefully you can see the shimmering iridescent sequins all throughout the card from that kit. This kit. I felt like they were like dewdrops. I really liked the bling that they included for this kit. So before I show you kind of just the slightly stepped up version of this simple alternative, let me give you the dimensions if you want to create this U or hat fold or whatever it's called. If you know a better name for it, please let me know in comments. So for the portrait orientation card, what you want to do, oh, this is the slightly stepped up version, so we're going to see that one in a minute. You might say, what's the difference? You'll see if you didn't already notice. So for this one, first of all, you open up your card base and you're going to score. You already have that center score line, which we're going to ignore because we're not folding the card in half traditionally. But you're going to score first at 2 1/8 and then 3 3/16. And then if you just flip the card over in your scorer, you can do the same thing again. 2 1/8 in from this edge, and then 3 3/16 in from this edge. And so that creates your U. You just have to make sure you fold the first score line as a mountain fold, and then the second set of score lines as valley folds, so you get this kind of, I thought it was a U, Lisa thought it was a hat, whatever you want to call it, shape for display. So then for this card base, you obviously need different dimensions because again, it's in the landscape orientation this time. So for that one, you're going to come in 2 3/4 from the edge. And then this is at 4 1/8. And again, just flip it in your score and do the same thing. Come in 2 3/4 and then 4 1/8. Again, mountain folds for the first two, valley folds for the inner two. And then this one, they came folded because that's the only way they could fit in our paper pumpkin box. So you might still have a little bit of a bend in that score line. I just tried to kind of smooth it out on the back side, smooth out that ridge a little bit. And if it still bends just a little bit on you, that's okay. It's a little bit more of like an accordion fold, I guess, but still a good display. One thing I will mention is that this, oh, I probably shouldn't show that too closely. That has some information on it, but this is the sheet with the address that comes on top of your box in the mail, and I always keep that as scrap paper. It's also exactly the size of a card base. So it's exactly, let me just cover up the information I need to cover up here. Okay, there we go. I think that'll do it. Okay, so it's exactly, what would it be? 8.5 by 5.5. So that when you fold it in half, you get, well, I didn't fold it in half, of course, because I scored it differently. But if I were to fold it in half, I would get my 5.5 by 4 1/4 card base. So this allowed me to kind of create a template of how I wanted the folds to be so that it was the size of a standard card when it was closed. Again, 4 1/4 by 5.5. I hope I've been saying that right. 4 1/4 by 5.5. And then when it opens up, can do the full display. So that's why the spine on the back is a little narrow, because from the front, I wanted it to be the standard card size. So hopefully it's a little surprise when it opens up. All right, so the slightly stepped up version of this simple alternate here, I just created a belly band. And so it looks a lot like this one, but maybe you noticed that little bit of extra sky, at least on this side, because it has this belly band that pulls up. And so then you still have the great display, and you could decorate this further with more embellishments. You could certainly stamp, like at least where the sky is, or put some die cuts where it's a little darker from the imagery. But then you have this beautiful belly band as well. And the way I created the actual band piece is just by cutting up one of my envelopes. So you can deconstruct your envelopes and use the beautiful sky DSP on the inside, or you could use the DSP from the coordinating suite. But I just used an envelope and cut that into strips and adhered them on this side, which is not covered up, but it's okay. It's the back of my card, and it almost blends the sky there. And then on the front, I covered it up with my label pieces. And so that creates a band to hold it all together. I'm not going to put it back on, but again, it just lands here. Although this lets you see why it lands where it does, because see how that doesn't really work? Maybe it's a little forgiving there, but up here you're like, what happened to the rest of the tree and the rest of the clouds? So that's why it lands right there when I put it back together. So I hope that's inspiring to you. I really love this kit. I'd love to hear what you thought of it. And because it was Paper Pumpkin's birthday, we got the extra stamp set in this kit, which I haven't used yet. One of my other friends at my party last night, Lauren, was saying that maybe my next challenge should be to go back through the year prior's Paper Pumpkins and use the stamps again, especially those extra stamp sets like this one had. But I wanted to bring that up to say happy birthday, Paper Pumpkin. So glad to have you going another year long, and here's to the next one. So thank you for watching. You can like this video if you did, comment, and I'll try to reply. I love that conversation. And then the most helpful thing you can do is follow, subscribe, and share it with others who you think would be interested. Whatever you choose to do or not, pardon me. I stumble to say it, but I do mean it. I appreciate your support, and I wish you happy crafting.